Hello everyone, welcome to Rao Online. This is Dr. Aditi. I'm a consultant in internal medicine at Mehta Hospital, Chennai, and today we are going to learn about pheochromocytomas. So today's session we are going to focus on the etiopathogenesis of pheochromocytomas. We are going to learn about their clinical features. We are going to look at the differential diagnosis for a patient who presents with similar features. We are going to look at the diagnostic tools and the management of pheochromocytomas, and we are also going to briefly look at malignant pheochromocytomas and pheochromocytomas which occur as part of a syndrome. So let us look at the etymology of the word pheochromocytoma. In Greek, pheos means dusky, chroma means color, and cytoma means tumor, and that's how this word came to be coined. This refers to the black staining caused by the chromophene oxidation of catecholamines. Now, pheochromocytomas are essentially catecholamine producing tumors which arise from the sympathetic system from the adrenal medulla or from the parasympathetic system, which includes the carotid body and the glomus vagal. So, they are very similar to paragangliomas. So, which brings us to the next question of what is a pheochromocytoma and what is a paraganglioma. Pheochromocytomas generally refer to symptomatic catecholamine secreting tumors which may be either adrenal or extra-adrenal, which means they can be in the retroperitoneum, they can be in the thorax or pelvis. But paraganglioma generally refers to catecholamine producing tumors of the head and neck. And usually they secrete, unlike pheochromocytomas, very little or no catecholamines at all. This is how traditionally pheochromocytomas and paragangliomas have been classified as. So both are catecholamine producing tumors, but paragangliomas refer to the tumors of the head and neck, whereas pheochromocytomas are symptomatic tumors which may be either adrenal or extra-adrenal. However, WHO classifies pheochromocytomas as adrenal tumors which secrete catecholamines, and all extra-adrenal tumors which secrete catecholamines come under paragangliomas. This needs to be remembered. So, although traditionally pheochromocytomas may be adrenal or extra-adrenal and paragangliomas refer only to those of head and neck, WHO classifies all extra-adrenal catecholamine secreting tumors as paraganglioma. Now here we are able to see the adrenal pheochromocytoma, and here we are able to see the extra-adrenal pheochromocytomas. So basically all of this will be in the neck, so that will be a paraganglioma. So all those of the head and neck will be paraganglioma, and everywhere else, be it adrenal or extra-adrenal, will all be pheochromocytoma. However, WHO has a different interpretation of these terminologies. Now let us look at the epidemiology. Pheochromocytomas may be sporadic or inherited with up to 25 to 33%, which means almost 1/4 to 1/3 of patients with pheochromocytomas being inherited. And the most common inherited syndromes include MEN2 and VHL, among several others like neurofibromatosis and paraganglioma syndromes. The mean age at diagnosis is about 40 years. As far as presentation is concerned, these patients typically present as young hypertensives. They may present as a young individual with no other risk factors, with a stroke, or sometimes we may pick up an adrenal incidentalloma. About 0.1% of patients who present with hypertensive crisis have been found to have pheochromocytoma. That means almost about 1 in 1000 patients with hypertensive crisis only have pheochromocytomas. So it is quite rare cause of hypertensive crisis. Now, what is this famous rule of 10, which most of us are already familiar with when it comes to pheochromocytomas? 10% are malignant, 10% are extra-adrenal, and 10% are bilateral. So, I like to remember it as MOB. M for malignant, O for outside adrenals, and B for bilateral. So, 10% malignant, 10% outside the adrenals, and 10% bilateral. Now let us look at the etiopathogenesis of pheochromocytomas. Okay, so this is what we covered. The clinical features typically include the classic triad of the 3 P's, which is pain, perspiration and palpitation. Usually there occurs episodes of palpitation, sweating and headache. So this is the classic triad, and when a patient with the classic triad also has hypertension, then it makes the diagnosis of pheochromocytoma very likely. And the hypertension in pheochromocytomas is usually episodic and not sustained, unlike other causes of hypertension. Usually patients with pheochromocytomas sometimes can present with crisis, and when they do present with crisis, they can develop complications in the form of heart failure, arrhythmias, pulmonary edema and intracranial hemorrhage. Now here we are able to see the clinical features which have been listed by how commonly they occur, starting from most common to the least common. So if you are able to see here, the most common features include the 6P. So this is pain in the head, perspiration, palpitation, pressure, panic and pallor. So these 6 P's are the most commonly occurring clinical features with pheochromocytoma. Pain, perspiration, pulse or palpitations, pressure, panic and pallor. So it's easy to remember. The less commonly encountered clinical features include gastrointestinal features like nausea, abdominal pain. They may include more systemic features like weakness, weight loss, paradoxical response to antihypertensive drugs, polyuria, polydipsia, constipation, orthostatic hypotension, and the rarer features include hyperglycemia, hypercalcemia, and erythrocytosis and dilated cardiomyopathy.